Nick Woltemade just played his first game for Newcastle and scored on his debut the winner against Woklz. Now in this video we're going to talk about what we learned from his debut overall and just why he's going to be so effective for the club, and why he just looks so exciting already. So let's get into it. Now if any of you watched my video about Woltemade coming into Newcastle, you will know overall I was a very big fan. Obviously the fee was excessive, but I think as a player he is someone that is going to be incredibly fun for this team and really great to see, and I think we saw that in the first game. Now obviously we will go into the goal in a bit, and Nick Woltemade's goal was so good and we have to talk about it, but there's a lot of other work he did in this game which I think is quite unique for the player that he is. Not really surprising when it is Woltemade, but for players his size can be quite surprising, and overall I think there's a lot to love about this player in this game. Now one of the big moments I kind of wanted to talk about, and this wasn't one moment, it's happened quite a lot. Wolves sat very deep. You can see me struggling to put all the players in one position, and there's so many overlaps there because they're just so congested and so far deep. Now with Newcastle, something that they do really well is they don't necessarily always have runners in behind like this to kind of spread out teams. They don't usually play against low blocks a lot, and I know it's a big issue for Newcastle. That has been a big problem with them, is they're not really used to these sort of games, and it makes sense. They've only just become like a real dominant side over the last couple of years, but I think Nick Woltemade can offer a couple of different things that will help. Now something in this game that was clearly apparent was that he was being used as a backboard, which I kind of expected when he was signed. What I mean by that is if we get the ball, where is it? Here it is, with Murphy or Guimaraes or anyone in these areas, what they were doing is they were passing the ball into Woltemade, who was coming deeper, so he was pushing out of the block, kind of get away from the defenders so they couldn't come with him, because obviously if they do then the gap's there, so that's not happening. And what that meant is that when the ball went into Woltemade, he was being very nifty with it, you know, quick passes off to players, you know, little 1-2s with Murphy in these areas, little quick passes out into the wing and maybe get Livramento down the side, and there was all these little quick 1-2s and work he was doing just outside the box coming deeper, which I thought was really fun. What Newcastle do really well is getting their wingers in not only great positions out wide like in these areas, but they get their wingers in good positions just all over the pitch. You know, you watch this game, Murphy is everywhere, you know, he's literally dictating the pitch and doing very well with it. And what that means is that when you get your wingers in these positions, if he does 1-2s with them, you can have good shots. Obviously I think Murphy actually had one from about this range and it went wide, but there was so many other moments where it's not just the wingers as well, it's people like Guimaraes who are switching with Murphy coming into this area and can have a shot. You know, there's one as well where Woltemade works really well deep and Tonali has a shot from this area and hits the post, and I think that is something that's really key with Woltemade coming deeper. It allows the midfield to kind of work with him a little bit closer, especially if you have someone like Joel Linton, for instance, kind of being that player that pushes the defence back, because yet again Joel Linton isn't the best player I'd say within the box. He is more just that kind of distraction for the real technical players to work, and Woltemade is one of them. Now I also want to show these moments here where I think Woltemade helps against these sort of low blocks in different ways as well. What was happening was that Bruno or any of these players come deeper, but in this situation it's Bruno, and Woltemade was yet again peeling into these sort of areas that you see in between the sort of lines, kind of distracting the players. Now yet again Joel Linton is the guy who's really pushing the defence, acting like a striker in many senses when Woltemade kind of moves that position, and you've got someone like Tonali there. Barnes comes inside in this instance, Livramento's out wide for that quick switch on if you can get the ball out there. Now what the big thing about this is that they create an overload down this right hand side because of Woltemade being that striker, and what happens is Woltemade is not only asking for the ball in between the lines, which before they can kind of break this cover down like here he can kind of get in, it actually helps in different ways. And what I mean is not only can you go through the middle to Woltemade, you can pass the ball to Trippier, quickly get the ball to Murphy, and then you've got a 2-on-1 where Woltemade kept making these runs into the far post or into the back post here, which was really effective. Now it's going to be criticised a little bit if I say this, but I'm going to say it anyway. This reminds me so much of Kai Havertz. As an Arsenal fan, I've watched Havertz more than anyone probably in a long time, and he really does do this. He comes over, creates these overloads, and acts at that +1 in these situations. And the thing with Woltemade is I think in the box he's obviously a lot better, and I think he's much more efficient at finding players. His technical ability makes him great, and not being a very quick player, I don't think he's exceptionally fast, but he's very good at getting in these areas and picking out players, which can be really important when you get players running in, and if this works a bit more. And the fun thing is that he is doing this all over the pitch, which just creates so many problems. You know, you see it here, he picks it up on the left hand side and you're thinking, well, what's he going to do? But it allows someone like Barnes to make that run in behind this moment. He is such a good facilitator for the players around him, you know, and he's so technical. He does these little flicks. Look at this little flick he puts through, and then Barnes can run through and get that chance, which I think is amazing. And like we we said, is about coming deeper in these situations and being able to put the ball off. He puts the ball into someone like Bruno who can run with it, and then he runs in behind, which is a key point of his gameplay, which I think is just going to be so electric for Newcastle. And the last two real big things I wanted to talk about is obviously his dribbling in these moments is so good. Like, we spoke about it before, but you can see how good he is on the ball. He takes his time, he's got it around the player, they can't get towards him, and then as soon as they're about to tackle him, he goes down for a foul. It reminds me so much of Kai Havertz. I hate to say it, I know people are going to criticize it. I love Kai Havertz, but I think it is a real weapon. I think this deeper play, like, you see the space, look, is created for their midfielders, for other players because of it, because he's trying to free players over in different ways, which I think is important. Now, of course, everyone is going to talk about the winner that he scored, and I genuinely think the winner that he scored was great in its own individual way, away from what we spoke about. And this is kind of what you expect from a 6'6" giant, not the other stuff which we have seen. And it's this, yet again, clear indication that he can isolate players one-on-one. He isolates a guy one-on-one and has the space on him, and he just completely gets caught out, the defender. I don't really know why they allow Murphy just to cross it. These two players here just give up, and I just don't get it, but I can't analyze that for you, but that is just what happens. And the cross is excellent by Murphy, like, not a surprise, brilliant cross, but this header is incredibly hard. You know, he sees it not necessarily late, but he has to jump backwards to be sort of anticipate it from the Wolves player, and the Wolves player does misjudge it, but he has to jump backwards and head it to the side of him, which is a very hard technique. He is a tall guy, but he didn't score a huge amount of headers in the Bundesliga. I know some people put that down to crossing and other things, which I think is fair, but I honestly think this is a class header. It's something you do expect, and he gets up incredibly well. I mean, he's 6'6" generally. He's going to be a mountain over most of these defenders, and it is just about putting that effort in, and he gets it in brilliantly. I don't really have any qualms to say about it. It is a great header. What you want, if you're struggling, if you're Newcastle, you can put these wider crosses in. It is important. There is loads of players in the box, and it just does not matter. Look, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then now 5, 6, 7 who've just kind of moved in, and they just have no idea because they just cross it back post and head it in, which is a good low block system to break, which for his height, I think is something you would rely on quite a lot. Now, overall, I think he is going to be a great player. I can't wait to see him personally for the 4-4-2 with Visser. I think that'd be super fun. Although I do think it'll be interesting to see how Newcastle's midfield works, because I think that's kind of really important. But I think Woltemade is a brilliant player, and I'm really excited to see him play more for this team. And I think as a Newcastle fan, if any of you in the comments, I would be very excited, because you have got a very suitable replacement in who is super young and can do it at the top level. But let me know in the comments what you guys think, and please subscribe for any more Newcastle content and any other teams. Let me know what you want to see. Thank you guys for watching. See you in the next one.